Tonight on CBC Vancouver News.
We all are hopeful. We all are positive. It's not the first time this has happened.
Hundreds of households evacuated as a wildfire burning near Peachland triples in size. Plus,
small businesses overwhelmingly rely on Canada Post, especially British Columbia.
Canada Post workers back on the picket line for the second time in 9 months. And
I can remember my dad racing horses there, literally for 30 years of his life. All gone.
BC horse owners heartbroken over the closure of Fraser Downs Racetrack. But some are holding out hope the province will step in.
This is CBC Vancouver News.
Hello, I'm Janella Hamilton. Thanks for joining us. Hundreds of people in the Okanagan have been evacuated and others are on alert to leave at any moment due to a fast-growing wildfire that sparked yesterday near Peachland. As Brady Strachan tells us, the fire has since tripled in size.
Tinder dry vegetation combined with gusty winds, fueling a fire that sparked Thursday.
Time to vacate.
Before exploding in size on these forested hills near Peachland in BC's Okanagan Valley. With autumn's cooler temperatures, the late season fire took some by surprise in the lakeside community of 5,000 people near Kelowna.
I think that was the biggest thing that went through my mind is, okay, what do I need to bring with me and what can I leave behind?
Residents from more than 300 properties suddenly told to leave. Emergency officials have set up a reception center for evacuees to provide emergency services. Some people now staying in their RVs. The fire is growing rapidly, already at more than 2 square kilometers in less than a day, and is out of control.
Yesterday when we got notified of a fire, the conditions at the time were very dry, so that's already unnerving, but very windy. And the prediction is we'll have similar conditions today.
This is the third wildfire to hit the Peachland area this summer. A fire on the north side of town in late July caused widespread evacuations, but no homes were lost. Evacuees are hoping fire crews can protect them again.
I think that we all are hopeful. We all are positive. It's not the first time this has happened. It's not the last time this is going to happen.
As the smoke hangs over the community, residents hope the winds will die down as they wait to hear from officials when they can return home. Brady Strachan, CBC News, Peachland, British Columbia.
Darius Madavi joins us now with a look at our weather. And Darius, I see you have a little bit about that fire first.
That's right. I just wanted to zoom in and show you the size of the fire. Ignore this one. This is a historical fire perimeter, but this one down here, you can see 220 hectares as of the last update from the BC Wildfire Service to this database. We have the alerts here, the orders here. Many areas, over 1,000 properties under evacuation alert, several hundred under evacuation order. A major fire coming at the very end of September, but it's largely because the fire danger remains so high. Later in the hour, we're going to take a closer look at the drought conditions that have sort of contributed to this, but this is really the thing to be watching. We're hoping to get some rain in this area. We may see some showers around Peachland tonight into tomorrow morning, but it's by no means guaranteed. That rain is heavy on the coast, and we have seen overcast conditions over Peachland at times today. We've also seen some sunshine. In terms of the forecast, some models have those showers making it to Peachland, some don't, so it's a little bit uncertain. The big thing, though, is that rainfall warning we have on Vancouver Island. Central Coast has been hit very hard by that rain, and this low-pressure system, very deep, very fast developing, strong winds, heavy rain, expected to continue.
All right. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
BC Premier David Eby addressed the Union of BC Municipalities on the last day of the conference with a pledge for more involuntary care beds to treat mental health and addictions. As Katie DeRosa reports, it was one of a few spending promises as the province's cupboards remain bare.
After a Union of BC Municipalities conference dominated by calls for the province to address street disorder, crime and open drug use, Premier David Eby announced 100 new involuntary care beds in Surrey and Prince George.
We will create more spaces for those people facing complex mental health and addiction disorders in every region.
It was welcome news for the new UBCM president, a Prince George councillor.
Getting an investment in involuntary care will free up infrastructure dollars in communities. So this is something that we should be, we are happy about and we're grateful, but there is more work that needs to be done.
Public safety has been a flashpoint in Prince George after the owner of a popular brewery that burned down, a suspected arson, says he won't reopen the business until downtown safety is improved. EB's announcement did not lay out how many beds will be available in each community or how much it will cost taxpayers. The latest additions are on top of the existing 30 involuntary care beds in Maple Ridge and the Surrey Pretrial Centre. It was EB's only major spending promise as the province grapples with a $12 billion deficit and an ongoing strike by public sector workers demanding higher wages. EB admits the province has had to say no to municipalities when it comes to more funding for the active transportation grant or for libraries.
We can't do it right now. It's just not our fiscal reality.
Municipal leaders say that's short-sighted, especially as the province sets aggressive housing targets for many communities.
We are hearing the cupboards are bare. It's a hard message to hear, a resounding no, when local governments are struggling across the province on their infrastructure needs.
In tough economic times, the services that our local governments and the provincial government provide are so much more important.
Tough economic times that will likely see the province say no more than yes as it tries to balance the books. Katie DeRosa, CBC News, Victoria.
The Canadian Union of Postal Workers is on strike once again, and as Pinky Wong reports, it comes after the federal government instructed Canada Post to consider bringing major changes to ensure its survival.
The union representing 55,000 postal workers said they're back on picket lines today across the country, including the Pacific Processing Centre here in Richmond. The Canadian Union of Postal Workers said it was outraged and appalled by the changes laid out on Thursday. The federal government announced major reforms to Canada Post, including authorizing them to end home delivery and close some rural mall outlets.
It's a loss of jobs, and it's also an impact to Canadian public, right? Who's used to door-to-door delivery. You know, we have the elderly who can't always make it to a community mailbox.
The Ministry of Public Works and Procurement said the corporation is losing approximately $10 million every day. Earlier this year, the federal government provided a $1 billion injection to keep Canada Post operational. The Canadian Federation of Independent Business says the impact of this nationwide strike on small businesses will be massive.
Small businesses overwhelmingly rely on Canada Post, especially British Columbia, and so to see this resistance to much needed reforms to keep Canada Post around as an organization is certainly disappointing.
Canada Post says it was disappointed that the union chose to escalate their strike activity, which will further deteriorate Canada Post's financial situation. The corporation says no mails or parcels will be processed or delivered during the strike except for the delivery of government benefit checks and live animals. Pinky Wong, CBC News, Richmond.
Demolition work is starting to get underway at what was once a prized racetrack in Surrey. The city closed Fraser Downs permanently in August with plans to redevelop the site. But as John Hernandez reports, horse owners say it's not too late to change course and are calling on the province to step in.
I literally spend probably 3 to 5 hours a day with the horses. This one's name is Great Karma.
Brent Hill hasn't stopped training his 9 standard-bred racehorses, even though there's nowhere for them to compete in BC.
Once they're ready to race, I will have to send them to Alberta or send them to Ontario to try and get them sold.
In August, dozens of horse owners like Hill were told by the city that the Fraser Downs racetrack was shutting down for good. The closure came just 2 weeks before the racing season was to begin. The standard-bred racetrack, the only of its kind in BC.
So that area had been used for racing for the past 47 years. We were given no notice, no consultation, nothing.
Demolition now underway. Parts of the racetrack dug up and light posts taken down as the city eyes future redevelopment here. But there's no particular plan for the property yet.
We're still talking much about what this is going to look like, but for me, I think what it needs to evolve into is an entertainment and recreation hub for the city.
They're going to tear it down and it's going to sit there for a decade or so and doing nothing.
Harness Racing BC President Kelly McMillan says it's not too late to press pause. He says requests to meet with the city to discuss alternatives have gone unanswered, so he's calling on the province to step in. Historically, the track has been part of a casino that's provincially regulated.
So that the operator and the casino have decided to go this route does not let the province off the hook. They need to step in and make a decision on it.
For now, the province says the decision is up to Surrey. Longtime tenants heartbroken knowing this could be the end.
I can remember my dad racing horses there, literally for 30 years of his life. All gone.
Should Fraser Downs close for good, Harness Racing BC has vowed to find a new track elsewhere in the province. John Hernandez, CBC News, Surrey.
Several major concerts planned for Vancouver's Orpheum Theatre have been cancelled after musicians with the Vancouver Symphony Orchestra walked off the job late yesterday. The job action is the first in the orchestra's 107-year history. The Vancouver musicians have been without a contract since July. Their union is asking for a 23% wage increase over 3 years. VSO management says it met with the union late yesterday, but attempts to reach an agreement were not successful. The VSO says it is communicating with ticket holders and is working to minimize disruptions. Meanwhile, negotiations are set to resume Monday between striking BC General Employees Union members and the provincial government. The ongoing strike has been escalated, now targeting alcohol and marijuana distribution in the province. The union says it is ready to do what it takes to secure fair collective agreements for all of its members. The government says it is committed to finding a just resolution. From childcare to ice rinks, recreation centers offer residents a space to unwind and connect. But as Janella Hamilton reports, a recent audit found the City of Vancouver does not have an asset management plan, as many of them are aging and in need of an upgrade.
For Annie Danilko, the Britannia Community Centre has become a home away from home after she moved to Vancouver from Williams Lake in 2003.
It's used by everybody. People come, when they move from our area, they come back from wherever they are because they feel the community spirit.
She hopes it could serve other residents and generations the same way, but that means ensuring the facility makes it to the future.
We definitely need an upgrade. And 50 years, I think we deserve it, especially because we've overgrown everything.
Britannia is one of many rec centers in the city that are in poor condition. That doesn't mean they're unsafe to use, but they do cost more to operate and repair. However, a recent audit found that the city does not have a capital asset management framework, which allows it to anticipate things like major renewals and how much they would cost. The report says because of that, the city hasn't put aside funds for the facility's maintenance and upgrades.
The Park Board has been complaining for a long time that our community centers and the major assets like the swimming pools and the skating rinks are all declining and definitely need more consistent and regular attention. So I don't blame this all on the current mayor or the current city council. I do think it's a long-standing issue.
It is a very difficult time, but it's something that I think we all acknowledge. The City of Vancouver has cost pressures that are unique to a core city.
Klassen says more than an asset management plan, what the city needs is funding.
Over the longer term, we're going to have to try and find ways of directing funding into these facilities in a way that we haven't before, especially as we're a growing city. And those are absolutely needed resources. So we're going to have to find those dollars.
For Danilko, it's about more than a building.
It's the community, how we make everybody feel welcome, how people just step on and they say it feels like a breath of fresh air. Because you can see all different races, all different religions, all different people come and go here.
A place for people in the city to connect, hopefully for many more years to come. Janella Hamilton, CBC News, Vancouver.
While the Supreme Court of Canada has granted a stay on the cull of hundreds of ostriches in BC, there's no guarantee they will stay alive indefinitely. More on that story after the break. The last-minute reprieve for the ostriches of Edgewood have left the fate of the birds in limbo. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency remains in control of the farm, with supporters holding out hope that Canada's top court will decide to hear the farm's case. You may have some questions on how we got here and the reasoning on both sides. Brady Strachan has some answers.
Why such a big fuss over ostriches? This is the Universal Ostrich Farm near Edgewood, British Columbia. It has between 300 and 400 birds. The Canadian Food Inspection Agency, the CFIA, has ordered the destruction of the entire flock. This fast-changing story has captured international attention and raised a lot of important questions. Here's a breakdown of commonly asked questions, including why are they being killed and why there's opposition. But first, why are ostriches being raised in BC? Ostriches are considered poultry by the federal government, and there are several commercial farms across BC. According to Universal Ostrich, business partners Karen Esperson and Dave Belinsky have been raising these birds for over 30 years. They incorporated their business in 2001. In total, the farm says it had more than 450 ostriches before the avian flu outbreak late last year. We'll get into that outbreak in just a moment. The company's business model used to include selling ostrich meat, but owners say about 5 years ago, they pivoted away from that industry and instead started focusing on breeding and antibody research. So why kill these ostriches? The core issue here is H5N1 avian flu. The CFIA announced the virus in the flock last December after positive tests from 2 dead birds. Nearly 70 birds died, and the farm says the remaining flock of 300 to 400 ostriches has been healthy for more than 250 days since then. And they claim the birds now have herd immunity to the disease. More on that in a moment. Under the national stamping out policy, the CFIA maintains all the birds must be culled by their owners to stop the virus from spreading, mutating, and posing a risk to both the agricultural industry and public health. Now, the farm owners are challenging this in court. They claim the surviving ostriches are valuable for scientific research, specifically in producing viral antibodies, given that they have survived the outbreak. They've asked for retesting of the birds before any of them are culled. And the farm would like to retest the flock themselves, but they say under the quarantine orders, that would put them at risk of severe fines and possible jail time. Retesting the ostriches is something the CFIA just hasn't agreed to do, saying the established policy is culling the entire flock on the farm, even if the virus is detected in just one bird. So where does that leave us? So far, the courts have upheld the federal order to cull the ostriches. The CFIA argues the farm failed to meet crucial biosecurity protocols and didn't provide sufficient evidence to support their claim for an exemption. Now, tensions on the farm are extremely high as the CFIA agents and dozens of RCMP officers have taken control of the ostrich pens in order to start culling the herd. But this week, the Supreme Court of Canada granted an interim stay of the cull order that effectively halts the CFIA's actions as the court mulls over an application to hear this case or not. This is really the last legal chance the farm has to save their birds. Should the ostriches be culled, the CFIA lists compensation of $3,000 per ostrich, but it is warned that much of that money may be withheld if the agency has to conduct the cull itself. The farm claims the ostriches are worth much more than that, even arguing that their antibody-producing hens are valued at more than $90,000 each. We're expecting an answer in the coming days and weeks.
People in the pool and the lake. A warm day in the Okanagan, but elsewhere in the province, it's beginning to look a lot more like fall with plenty of rain on the way. Darius Madavi has your provincial forecast coming up. Prime Minister Mark Carney is overseas in the UK on a trade mission. Carney spent the day meeting with the leaders of several of Canada's allies.
Bienvenue ici le petit coin du Canada. No, but it's a pleasure to have the chance to sit down.
You want to do a shake?
Shake.
Carney sat down with the Prime Ministers of Australia, Spain, Iceland, and of course the United Kingdom. He also traded some playful barbs with Keir Starmer about Canada and England facing off in the Women's Rugby World Cup final Saturday. He and Starmer also talked about security in Ukraine and the Middle East. Carney will next meet with key European business leaders looking for investment in Canada. The expansion of Churchill, Manitoba's deepwater port is being touted as a potential nation-building project. Year-round residents say they'd love to see more jobs, but as Karen Pauls learned, some worry that the new port proposal will jeopardize their unique way of life.
Are you coming?
David Daly spends a lot of time on the land as a dog sled racer,
Ready? Hike!
tourism operator, and hotel owner.
Let's go now. Come on now.
Like many here, he sees the benefits of more economic development at the port.
We hope better jobs for our kids, better jobs for our grandkids in the future.
But Daly also worries more commercial shipping could impact tourism. People come from around the world to see the polar bears, beluga whales, and the aurora borealis.
That a good girl.
He hopes there will be more consultation with locals.
I hear all the time that people say that tourism won't save Churchill. Well, tourism has saved Churchill. I think the people that have the tourism relationship here in town, I think that they're a little apprehensive about, like, is this going to be rammed down our throats?
They worry, in particular, about an all-weather road in the Churchill Plus proposal.
With more accessibility comes, things like drugs.
If a road is developed into here, I truly believe we will lose our charm.
Churchill Mayor Mike Spence is also the board chair for the Arctic Gateway Group, which owns the port and the railway. He says the goal is to find balance.
Tourism's not going to pay the way. Our government has realized that we need to invest and we need to build Canada just like they were building Canada back after the Second World War. It's really about Indigenous ownership and reconciliation that's critically important. We'll help pave that way.
The Churchill Plus proposal has the support of the Prime Minister. Mark Carney hinting it could be on the list of the second tranche of projects he's set to announce before the Grey Cup taking place in Winnipeg in November. Folks here will be watching. Karen Pauls, CBC News, Churchill, Manitoba.
Benjamin Netanyahu took the podium Friday at the United Nations General Assembly as dozens of delegates from multiple nations walked out in protest. The Israeli Prime Minister unleashed a stream of criticism against many of those countries who have recognized a Palestinian state. The CBC's Margaret Evans reports.
Benjamin Netanyahu. Israel's growing isolation on the world stage reflected at the UN General Assembly.
Please, order in hall.
Dozens of delegations walking out ahead of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's speech. It came with defiance.
Ladies and gentlemen, much of the world no longer remembers October 7th. But we remember. Israel remembers October 7th.
He hit out at countries, including Canada, for recognizing a Palestinian state.
Your disgraceful decision will encourage terrorism against Jews and against innocent people everywhere. It will be a mark of shame on all of you. The Assad regime in Syria...
There were also theatrics, Netanyahu ticking off enemies eliminated by Israel on a map. And he delivered a message from the UN stage to Israeli hostages held in Gaza.
The idea of peace between Israel
through loudspeakers, he said, were positioned along the border.
And we will not rest until we bring all of you home.
Families of the hostages, dead and alive, demonstrated outside the UN, many long accusing Netanyahu of blocking a deal to end the war. They're appealing to world leaders. Nadav Rudeyev lost his father on October 7th.
The only thing we're trying to do now is convince everyone else, all world leaders, that this is what needs to happen now. The war needs to end.
In Washington, Donald Trump told reporters a deal is close.
It's going to be peace. I think we have a deal.
Netanyahu gave no indication of that. And there was little mention of the suffering of Palestinians beyond denying Israel was deliberately targeting civilians. This is the aftermath of an Israeli airstrike in Gaza City. Few here would have heard Netanyahu's speech, which he claimed Israeli intelligence was live streaming to Gazans' mobile phones. I didn't hear anything, says Mohammed Wadi. We didn't get voice notes, and God willing, we won't. She's counting on the international community to end the war. But with the world's leaders gathered in New York and all the pleas for peace, Gaza looks set to bleed a while longer. Margaret Evans, CBC News, London.
It's a true David versus Goliath battle tomorrow at the Women's Rugby World Cup final. An upstart Canadian team that's defied expectations takes on an undefeated England. Jamie Strachan breaks down how Team Canada ended up in the final.
6 minutes, everyone, 6.
For Canada's women's rugby team, it doesn't get any bigger than this.
This is a moment that we've been building and waiting for 3 years. So I think we're just excited that it's finally here.
Canada has earned a date with England in the World Cup final on Saturday, a home game for England with more than 80,000 people in the stands, the largest audience in women's rugby history.
We can't know exactly what it's going to be like until we're out there, but it's a balance between trying to focus on your routine and keeping things as normal as possible.
Can you believe it? The Canadian side has dazzled during this tournament, finishing off 6-time champion New Zealand in the semi-final. Their head coach, dubbed the Magician, installing the perfect game plan.
This win will be amazing for their resume, for their life, for their souvenir. For the Canada, for sure.
Getting here has not been easy. Despite being ranked number 2 in the world, Canada is operating on a shoestring budget compared to other teams. Their head coach said about $3.5 million was required to be successful in this tournament. But with only about $2.5 million from Rugby Canada, the team had to fundraise the rest.
I think for us, it's a balance of using that narrative to fuel us and all the adversity that we've come through, the sacrifices that we've made that are just different than what other countries have had to make.
The bandwagon is filling quickly. The team was celebrated this week at Canada House in London, and many have made the trip for the final, including friends and family.
I'm super excited for the team. They're just great ambassadors for Canada. They're strong, classy, amazing women.
The only other time Canada made a World Cup final, 2014, where they lost to England. This time won't be any easier, as they face a number 1 ranked team that has won 32 matches in a row. Jamie Strachan, CBC News, Toronto.
Okay, it's a huge game, and there are some big stars on this team that hail from Victoria. Joining me from the provincial capital is Carissa Norston. She's on the National Women's 7 squad and has played with the 15s team as well. Carissa, thanks so much for being with us today. And first off, how excited are you about tomorrow's game?
Yeah, of course. Thanks for having me. I am absolutely pumped. I can't wait to watch what the girls have.
And so explain to me a little bit as to the lead up to this game when you are an athlete like this. How exciting is it?
It's obviously such an incredible experience that they've been building towards for 4 years. Definitely going to be a lot of nerves going in, I'm thinking, for a lot of the girls, but I think a lot of it's coming down to excitement, and they all know that they've all put in the work and they're so ready to be there. So I think it's just such a great opportunity for them all to go out there and just show what they've got.
Yes, and a great opportunity to be a role model, of course, to younger girls who want to get into this sport. And I want you to teach me a little bit about this sport. We've heard about Canada's surprising arrival at the finals, and a lot's been said about how different Canada's game is. So help us out here and explain what we're seeing. We're going to watch a part of Canada's semi-final match against New Zealand, and then we'll break it all down. Let's take a look.
Now Courtney O'Donnell for Taser just holds on. Kulonavali drops her. Pacan in her 50th. She's going close. It's so rapid from Canada. New Zealand backpedaling. It's a wave coming at them. Inches away is McKinley Hunt. The pile of bodies. New Zealand's defence desperate on the line. And now Peltier goes short, flat and hard for Taser. Hands up! Again, close. New Zealand desperate. Once more Canada go. Phase after phase. New Zealand repelling them, but Canada getting close. Now they release it. They sucked in the numbers. You betcha they have. And Florence Simons gets Canada's third.
Wow. Well, Carissa, what stands out to you about this drive?
Yeah, I mean, it's just absolutely incredible, like, attack speed from the Canadian forwards there. I mean, they're going into contact and they're back, picking up the ball, going again, just phase after phase after phase. That just takes so much fitness and so much resilience to be able to just continuously be picking and going on the defensive line, on New Zealand's try line. And just absolutely incredible handling, as we just watched from like the backs there. Incredible skills by Alex Tessier to get that ball off to flow. That's so hard to make that pass under pressure, so it's just incredible to see.
Yeah, quite an intense game. Let's watch a little bit more now. This is Canada facing off against Australia in the quarterfinals.
Look to get the arms free again, chopped down by Malika and Fredericks, but they just move the ball from point to point so rapidly. Peltier digs it out. Menon through the hands. It's really slick from Canada as they go wide this time for Corrigan on the cutout ball, and then the angled run back from Alicia Corrigan. Tipped on for Menon, a little hole. She'll keep the arms free. De Gaudion, fingertip control for Tatosi now. The handling of the tight forwards is superb. They've got numbers to burn, and Corrigan will get her second on the opposite wing.
Well, that is what I call teamwork. Carissa, a lot's been said about how hard the Canadians are to defend against. Why is this?
It's definitely got to come down to their ruck speed. I mean, it's already been said how many times they have the fastest ruck speed in the tournament. And that's so hard as the defense. They have no time to set up. They have no time to set their spacing and come up and put the Canadians under pressure because they're attacking too quickly.
And what exactly does ruck speed mean?
So that's their ability to just get the ball after someone's been tackled, getting the ball off the ground again and getting it back into the hands of the attackers. They're just doing it so quickly.
Okay, now let's set up tomorrow's game. What does Canada have to do to beat England?
I mean, I think what they've been doing has obviously been working so incredibly for them. I think just not giving England anything and continuing to do what they've already shown that they can do is going to do the job for them.
And before I leave you here, Carissa, you know, any kind of words for other athletes out there or anyone else who's interested in the sport?
I mean, absolutely try it out. I started playing rugby so late, and it's just taken me amazing places in my life. So take the opportunity if it comes your way and just enjoy it.
All right. Thank you so much, Carissa, for your time today.
Thank you.
China has long been the world's largest polluter, but has now pledged to cut greenhouse gas emissions. More on what that means for global climate action after the break.
We're sharing really important information with the public, and I feel like this is exactly what our job is, especially as the public broadcaster, especially in morning radio. That's incredibly important.
China is known to be the world's largest polluter, but it has just made a historic move, pledging actual cuts to its greenhouse gas emissions. CBC's Johanna Wagstaff breaks down what this means for global climate action and how it compares to the U.S. and Canada.
Did the last nation you'd expect just jump to the front of the climate leader stage? China, the world's biggest emitter at 31%, had only ever promised to slow or plateau emissions growth, a constant sticking point at UN talks. But that suddenly changed.
Reduce economy-wide net greenhouse gas emissions by 7% to 10% from peak levels.
For the first time, China is pledging actual cuts. And while historic on its own, some experts think it signals something even greater.
It's actually less than I would anticipate from the Chinese government, just given the pace at which solar and wind is expanding and the pace at which electric vehicles are expanding, that it's possible that this is a kind of cautious projection of where they're going to be.
When it comes to investing in renewables, it might surprise people to know no one has invested more than China. All of this comes at a time when U.S. leaders are saying things like this.
This climate change, it's the greatest con job ever perpetrated on the world, in my opinion.
This is a total upheaval in who we think of as climate leaders.
People need to throw out all of their old expectations of climate and energy politics. You know, opponents of climate action, we're told, tell people China isn't going to act and there's no point in us doing anything without China. And now that is completely flipped on its head.
If you're wondering where Canada fits in, Ottawa has pledged a 45 to 50% cut below 2005 levels by 2035. But China's move could shift the global momentum.
We're at a crossroads where we could make the mistake of doubling down on fossil fuels the way that the Trump administration is trying to do, rather than catching up with the rest of the world that's accelerating away with renewable and clean energies.
But let's be real about some of the caveats here. The science says China's pledged cuts still fall short of keeping warming below 2 degrees, and the baseline peak isn't fully clear. Still, for the first time, the world's largest emitter is pledging real cuts. Now, we're still waiting for the fine print, but even this cautious step is enough to spark a new debate on who will set the pace for global climate action.
Darius Madavi joins us now with a look at our weather. Darius?
I want to start by talking about this rapidly developed low pressure system up in the Gulf of Alaska. If you look here, you can see the red color there, that is a low, and we can see how quickly it developed through the day today, likely meeting the criteria for a bomb cyclone. Now, that sounds like a scary term, but that just means that the pressure there dropped at least 24 millibars in under 24 hours. It's usually associated with some very strong winds, gusty winds, and some heavy rainfall. And we saw some of those strong winds up in this corner of the province, although that's not where we had the wind warning. That was down here on the Central Coast, and of course, rainfall warning on Vancouver Island. Now, that is dissipating now, and into tomorrow, we're going to see another low develop, but not nearly as strong. In terms of the moisture, atmospheric river continues dumping a ton of rain on BC. Not as much of it coming here to the lower mainland, but parts of Vancouver Island easily seeing up to 100 millimeters of rainfall, pretty much just through the day today and into the overnight hours. Now, here we can see that forecast. You can see that heavy rainfall that's moving in. Some snow up on the mountaintops now, which we haven't seen much of lately, a little bit, but we've definitely seen those temperatures and freezing levels starting to fall now as we get into fall. Here's that heavy rainfall that we're going to see once we get into Sunday. That second wave of precipitation really starts to take shape there, and that's when Vancouver is likely to get their heavier rainfall. In the overnight period from Sunday into Monday, that's not going to be reflected here because this is showing today, earlier today at midnight, right through the end of the day on Sunday. But because ours is coming after midnight on Sunday in Vancouver, we're not really seeing that here. But several areas seeing a lot of rain. Again, A lot of that for the Central Coast has already come today, but for areas like the west coast of the island, most of that is coming, or a fair amount of it is coming on Sunday as well. So pretty much get ready for round 2 if you're on the west coast of the island. 91 millimeters through the weekend, but again, some of that has already fallen. The other thing that I wanted to talk about, here we go. Fire danger, probably not going to fall too much with this round of precipitation, but it will fall more as we get into next week, at the end of the weekend, because Sunday, some of that stuff should break into the interior by Monday. Drought conditions have worsened in some areas in the interior, but have improved in some other areas on the coast, so a little bit of good news there. This rain will also help with that, for sure. We got some bad air quality in parts of the southern interior and the southeast, but overall, the big story is going to continue to be that rain. Hopefully, again, by the end of the weekend and early next week, we get some of that around the Peachland fire. In terms of a 5-day forecast, Janella, showers tomorrow morning, then mainly cloudy through the day on Sunday, and then overnight, Sunday into Monday, our rain comes back.
All right, thanks so much, Darius. And don't go anywhere because guess what time it is? That's right, it's Fun Fact Friday, and Darius is here to talk to us about sharks.
That's right. Sharks are very cool creatures. Sharks have no bones, is one very cool thing about them. Totally unrelated to what I was planning to talk about, but I didn't think of a good segue. They don't have bones, they just have cartilage. Now, take a look at some sharks while I tell you a little bit about what makes this group of animals so cool. They have been around on Earth for a very, very long time, 450 million years. That's the oldest shark fossil that we have, the oldest evidence of them that we have. And that makes sharks older than a lot of things that you probably wouldn't expect. And I want to talk about a few of those things. So if you look here, we're flying over a rainforest, and trees feel like something that have been on Earth for a very long time, establishing our climate, our oxygen, so many things. But sharks have been around longer than trees. Trees have been around about 385 million years is our best estimate. Much less time than the 450 million years that sharks have been around. One that might surprise you even more, the North Star, Polaris, only about 60 million years old. Around there, there's a bit of a range, but around there, I will note asterisk on this one because we call it the North Star, but it's actually 3 stars. But we're talking about this one, the big one, the bright one, where most of the light comes from. Saturn's rings also, some people think that they were there when the planet Saturn was born, but most estimates put them about 10 to 100 million years old, way younger than sharks. And the last one, my personal favorite one, the Milky Way. Sharks have seen a lot of things that none of us ever will. It takes, just like the Earth orbits the sun orbits the center of the Milky Way. It takes about 225 million years for us to get all the way around. That means that sharks have orbited the Milky Way twice, which is very cool.
They must be tired. That is very cool. Thanks so much, Darius.
Thank you.
It's a new era of hockey in Penticton as the Vees move up to play with the Western Hockey League.
I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC inbox.
On October 18th, join CBC at the Big Sisters Soiree Gala, an evening for the community to come together, celebrating mentorship and resilience of youth. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC's e-newsletter today at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox.
It's a big day for hockey fans in Penticton. The Vees have their home opener tonight. After decades of success with the BCHL, the team is now playing for the Western Hockey League.
And as CBC's Tiffany Goodwin reports, the new chapter comes amid changes to junior hockey.
You don't have to go far into the city to find out how much Penticton loves their Vees. There's even a street named after them. And then there are the fans.
Whenever we see Harvey, we always yell out, Harvey! Harvey! And then we yell out, Harvey! Harvey! Harvey!
It's a new era of hockey for the Penticton Vees. After winning numerous championships with the BCHL, the team has now made the move to the Western Hockey League.
There was a lot of legislative changes as far as the players that were able to go on to the NCAA, and with those changes, we felt we needed to make a change.
Players in the WHL can now go on to play Division I college hockey in the United States, which was previously not allowed. The move, a significant one, according to experts.
It's huge for Penticton, for the community, for the ownership group. This is the level that you want to be at.
The excitement loud and proud from the team's biggest fans.
I've been a season ticket holder for 21 years. It's good entertainment. You got to do something in the wintertime. I didn't want to ski anymore.
Everything else stops. CBC stops because we are listening to the game on the radio.
Our team has been in the top forever. We know this year is going to be a little different, but I think they're going to do a great job this year.
The Penticton Vees are heading into their historic home opener, having lost 5-0 to the Victoria Royals, but the team turned things around quickly, securing their first ever WHL win in franchise history, defeating the Vancouver Giants 5-1. Scoring the very first goal for the new WHL team was Brady Burney.
Yeah, it was obviously exciting. I think it was more so exciting for our group. We didn't score the night before.
A new league means a new rivalry, this one closer down the road.
Can't wait to beat Kelowna.
That rivalry will be put to the test the first time the Vees take on the Kelowna Rockets. It's a face-off that has these fans saying, "Go Vees, go!" Tiffany Goodwin, CBC News, Penticton.
I don't really have anything to add about hockey, but VEE is a valid word in Scrabble. It's a fun fact. Thanks for being with us tonight on CBC Vancouver News at 6. You can watch this newscast on CBC Gem, YouTube, and our website.
I'll have your next local news at 11 o'clock right after the National. Have a great night.